May 31, 2025, peoples of Africa, receive our greetings. Mali is taking another major step forward. Today, we are going to talk about the economy. The economy, especially the extractive economy, that is, our underground resources that are being exploited and their impact. And when we talk about underground resources, we are specifically referring to gold. Because as you know, on May 28th, which to put it into perspective was just 3 days ago, Mali's Council of Ministers, the main executive governing body of the country, officially approved the establishment of a new gold refinery. This refinery is designed with the impressive capacity to refine as much as 200 tons of gold every single year, which marks a significant development for Mali's gold industry and its economic future. 200 tons of gold. I would like to remind you that Mali's current production never exceeds 80 tons. That is to say, I am talking about industrial production. As for artisanal production, it is always around 7 to 10 tons. And in 2024, the projected figure is less than 60 tons of gold extracted. Why? Because today, Mali has a new mining code. Which mining code? This mining code has increased the share of the Malian state's interest to 35%. Up until now, under the Great Democrats, it was at 20%. Even the 20% left much to be desired. The transitional authorities have increased it to 35%, and it continues. This is in the context of production. But every time our gold is produced, it is a British state and its partners, while when we go to sell it in other countries, we earn very little. It's the same case almost everywhere in Africa. Oil, gold, we sell everything to the British state, and they have no gold, they have no oil, they have nothing. But they have managed to install vassals at the head of African states who agreed to make Africa solely a production zone, to make Africa nothing more than a reservoir for their raw materials. And then they do the processing, they process everything, cocoa, whatever it is, oil, gold. If you want any kind of material, it's them who do the processing, and they make much more money. You know, in the context of an extractive economy, the one who processes always earns more than the producers. Because even the production itself is not really us who produce, it's them who produce. And currently, you have seen our difficulty with Baru Gold, which was the largest mine in operation in Mali. Now it's shut down. We actually prefer it that way. Because if it's shut down, the gold isn't going to disappear. It stays there until we ourselves are able to exploit it. Barrick Gold was hardly paying for certain things in Mali. It was a massive embezzlement while the so-called Democrats were in power. But with these patriotic military leaders, it's not like that. And today, not only have we suspended production at Barrick Gold, but we have also launched this refinery. And do you know how much percentage the Malian state owns? 62%. We're doing this in partnership with a wealthy company, but our share is 62%. This has never been seen before. A refining capacity of 200 tons, which exceeds the current production capacity of the ECOWAS countries. So Mali will be able to increase its production, just like the other ECOWAS countries. Today, Mali is the third largest gold producer in Africa, but how much do we actually earn from it? Not only do we not own 50% of the production share, but that portion is also refined elsewhere. We are losing a lot. So the main idea was to create this refinery. And it's already voted. Administratively, it's already okay. So soon construction will begin. And in the meantime, we see the imperialists trying to multiply their attacks from all sides. Many people ask us, why these attacks? But as we say in Bamara, when you are at Bulatonu, where people play the tam-tam, as soon as the rhythm speeds up, it's either about to explode and be destroyed, or it's almost the end of the dance. So why are they stepping up the attacks like this? We are in the process of holding them back. We pray for the souls of all our martyrs. At the same time, do you see what they're trying to do? The intimidation against the AS area continues. They keep spreading rumors that there are a lot of terrorists in the AS area, but it's actually their mercenaries that they are sending in, and there's really to prevent us from exploiting our own resources. There were more than 60 countries here. In the case of MINUSMA, Takuba, and others, more than 60 countries. Terrorism increased, and now we're working to calm things down. That's when they start shouting left and right. And rest assured, everything is being done to stabilize the situation. And we know that they're dragging us into a war of attrition. So what is the impact now on the ongoing war of liberation? Because when you talk about war, you need resources. Today, while we are recording this program, the Malian armed forces are receiving, perhaps you have seen the images, the videos, a lot of equipment coming from our very sincere partners. What are these pieces of equipment for? They are not only to continue fighting the terrorists, but also to counter the aggression from certain countries. Because among the equipment, there are many radars. And these radars are meant to deter countries, to prevent them. You saw, like in Algiers, how they attacked our sovereignty by targeting our drone. Where did that happen? In the Kidal region. The Kidal region, did you see the recent visit by our Minister of Defense, General Assimi Goïta? And during this visit, you saw a refinery that was already established in Kidal, while we didn't have one in Bamako or in other cities. But there was a gold refinery in Kidal. And this gold from Kidal, not even a gram of it benefited Mali. And you know who was in control of Kidal at that time? It was the terrorist groups, they call armed groups. It was the ammunition. It was Baken, it was Takuba, all these people were in Kidal. The Malian army only had a symbolic presence, there about 200 men, if I remember correctly. So our were almost non-existent in Kidal. And who was administering Kidal? Who was administering it? It was those called the interim authorities. Do you know who these people are? They are agents appointed by the armed terrorist groups, the ATGs. Following the reg from Algiers, that they call the Algiers Accord, elected mayors were removed and replaced by people appointed by armed groups. They were the ones administering all these towns. For a Malian official to set foot in Kidal at that time, you had to pay several million. And you needed their consent, whether they agreed or not. Now, all of that is over. And who do we have to thank for that? It stands to these patriotic authorities who are currently leading Mali. So, who benefited from the gold that was refined in Kidal? Did you see the United Arab Emirates who arrived recently? Because what used to come into the window, if the window is now closed, you have to knock on the door and see if the owners will let you into the room. That's what's happening now. Will Mali today accept their cooperation or anything else? Question mark. But who exactly benefited from this smuggled gold, this gold stolen from Malian territory? It was an open-air theft. Algiers knows it. They all know it. Baken knows it. And that's what was used to finance terrorism against the armed defense and security forces, not only of Mali, but also of the countries of the Sahel. At the time, we hadn't yet become aware of what was happening. But people ask us, what is funding the terrorists but from this gold? And there are, do you know how many artisanal mines are being exploited in northern Mali? A lot. More than 6. All those mines were operated and maintained by armed groups who imposed taxes and took the gold, whether raw or refined, and exported it via Algeria to other countries. And Algiers itself took advantage of this from 2006 to 2023 to become the largest gold stockpile in Africa, more than 173 tons of gold. Now, all of that has come to an end. If they had the capacity to refine 10 tons of gold, from now on, here we are creating the capacity to refine more than 200 tons of gold. The peoples of Africa, and this is to our advantage. The revenues will be used to quickly finance the war efforts. Because whoever brings war upon you also brings colossal expenses. How much do the daily budgets, just for a single day, of the armed defense and security forces cost? How many men do we have deployed in the field? How many armored vehicles? How many vehicles? How much fuel does each vehicle consume every day? Imagine, put all of that together. The budget is substantial. The ammunition used, the drones deployed, the missiles launched. How much does each missile cost? It's no less than 5 million CFA francs. And just imagine how many missiles can be launched in a week. What kind of numbers does that add up to? So we need to financially support the ongoing fighting. That's why the political mercenaries who pretend to condemn the acts of terrorists, when they say, no, we shouldn't have increased taxes on telecommunications, I say, wait, what are you thinking? We are at war. War means expenses. War requires massive funding. How are we going to fight this war? Look at the equipment received today. A lot of equipment. Ask those who have seen the previous equipment. You will see it. Go to other Malian pages. Maybe on Gandhi Malian, on Drissa Mimeta, probably on BMD Media with Boomabel, you'll see the images. All this equipment, all these armored vehicles, Kanazui won't list all the equipment that arrived. But if they give you the bill, if they give us the bill, how much would it be? And even last month we received some. The month before that, we received some too, which become a habit. That's why we don't waste our time talking about it anymore, because it comes regularly. But it doesn't come for free. We pay for it. So this gold story will help, will contribute to supporting the war effort. You know, just with taxes and everything that was stolen from us, we've managed to increase by hundreds of billions of CFA francs. That's what was being stolen from us every year, while the so-called Democrats were in power. That's why I said it all. The real bomb, not nuclear bombs and the like. For me, the bomb that has caused the most damage in Africa is what they call the Francois Mitterrand's democracy. It caused quite a lot of devastation. It allowed leaders to be put at the head of African countries who control themselves, who are controlled, and who control our states for the imperialists. Even our taxes, they knew exactly how much we earned. There were no more state secrets. And I've always said, there is no sovereignty for a people that is not democratic. Now, Mali is experiencing true democracy. When you are sovereign, that is when you make decisions. So this economy, in the long run, and you should try to speed things up, needs to be supported by a fully sovereign currency. Yes, the CFA franc, all of that is tied to the CFA, but for example, if we sell gold to the Chinese or whoever, even if it's to the Americans, when we sell gold, we receive what are called foreign currencies. But those foreign currencies, we can't use them directly here. So what do? We are told to go and deposit them at the Bank of France. France takes the foreign currencies, exchanges them for CFA francs, which are printed in chamaliers. It's France that profits. They get the foreign currencies. And they give us the paper money called the CFA franc, the franc of the French colonies of Africa. We lose out significantly in this arrangement. So with the CFA, our gold cannot help but continue to support the CFA franc. We need our own currency, and at this point, by all means, ask for it. But be careful that it isn't a currency that has lost all value, like the money of some countries around us. Out of respect, we won't name any names, but I say that doesn't mean anything. The strength of a currency comes from the work behind it, from production and transformation. It's because they don't actually produce or do the work. But I'm telling you, the three weakest currencies in the world are not African. Oh no. The three weakest currencies in the world are not African. They are the currency of Vietnam, the currency of Venezuela, and the Iranian currency. I've been to Iran, by the way. Those are the three weakest currencies in the world. But do you know of any African country that is more developed than those countries? Iran, which is launching satellites left and right, which is involved in the nuclear industry. Vietnam, let's not even talk about it. Venezuela, same thing. Look at these countries, compare them to the countries that still use the CFA franc. Compare, see if there's really any basis for comparison. Which country that uses the CFA franc can even come close to Iran today in terms of development? You know, when you see Tehran, it's very clean. I've been there. Caracas, let's not even mention it. Hanoi in Vietnam is not talked about. And yet their currency is very weak. You could fill a suitcase with it. You could fill a suitcase with that currency. But their countries are sovereign. They're countries that are developing. These are countries with good growth rates. And us, with our CFA francs, what do we have? We end up at the Mediterranean Sea. It's sad. We end up at the Atlantic Ocean. See you. We are the ones we call undocumented. We end up being the ones called victims of terrorism. None of those countries faces terrorism like ours do. All three countries in the East use the CFA franc. What has it accomplished? Even though we use their currency, even though we have their language as our official language instead of our own, we do all that. But in the end, the only reward they gave our countries, I'm not sure if it's for us or against USWAs to send terrorists to attack us. I mean, in the end, what do you want from me? Is it to suck our blood dry? It's very serious. It's very disappointing. And after our current lithium production site, there's a second site being prepared. And it's not far from the first site because it's still in the same region. We are going to extract enough of our resources to support this war effort and launch the development of Mali and the countries of the Alliance of Sahel States. Oh yes, it's a gift. It's a gift from heaven. If God hasn't given it to certain peoples, it's because He knows their intentions. We have it. It's up to us to make the most of it. Our materials, our natural resources should not be a curse for us. What does Qatar have? Gas and oil. And because of that, Qatar is one of the richest countries in the world. What do the United Arab Emirates have? But don't we also have oil and gas here? We have the gas from Burakabugu, which renews itself automatically in a discontinuous way. It's hydrogen. We have so many gas and oil reserves, and instead they send us tourists to prevent us from benefiting from these resources. They want a weakened state that will let them take everything as a gift, just like in Gabon and Congo-Brazzaville. The Congolese don't even know what their oil looks like, just like the Gabonese. Otherwise, these are countries that would be richer than Qatar, but they don't benefit from it. These are countries that don't have a large territory, and these are countries that aren't very populated. But since independence, where has their oil gone? From Emmanuel Macron, that's what Macron studied with. That's what they used to get a great education over there, and then they come back to keep exploiting us. And as for us, we are forced to have a school and university curriculum that matches their wishes against our own interests. If it were up to me, many schools and universities in Africa would first be closed for 2 years. Just enough time to train teachers in programs aimed at Africa's emancipation. And then we put them to work. But teaching Victor Hugo Lamartine being sat by the side of a lake, what does that bring to an African child? Nothing. People of Africa, today it's important that we talk about the economy, because all of this is based on the economy. We buy equipment, we do this and that, but we need a strong economy, an economy capable of supporting the war effort. And that's where I think this economy alongside our armies is also being rebuilt. And we hope that we will go very far with this. People of Africa, we thank you, and we hope to see you again tomorrow for another topic at the forefront of current events. Thank you.